Hey y'all, what is going on? Welcome back to the Leon Block. I'm your guy, John Tell, back with another episode. Tonight we've got actually another woman of color, another black woman on the show, giving their experience about some stuff similar to the experiences that I've went through. A little tidbit about uh, fetishization. I always have such a hard time saying that word. As you can see, the title of this episode is Black Woman Fetish. And speaking about Black man fetish, um, I've had my own experiences being fetishized in the gay community, and I actually I made a post on my personal page on Facebook like a week or two ago, basically saying don't ever let me hear you say three letters BBC. And motherfuckers talking thought I was talking about the network, and I wasn't. I was talking about being fetishized for a certain body part that I have, and seriously, hearing those three words makes me letters, whatever, makes me cringe. And it's extremely offensive and harmful, and damaging to communities of color, not just LGBT, but straight as well. Um, and so for me as a black man, it's something that just doesn't sit right with me. And I've touched on it a little bit in other episodes, and it's actually something now, speaking of, that I want to touch on going forward. But right now we have a black woman who has her own experiences with being fetishized within our communities. Let me welcome Natalie Doman to the show. Thank you for being on the Leon Block. Seriously, it is such a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thank you, John Tell, for having me and for allowing me to be part of this and just share some of the experiences that I've gone through throughout my life with what you were saying about fetishization. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no doubt. I guess I want to start by because there's viewers from all over. We're here both in central Pennsylvania. Um, set the tone and the story for me here, because how do you feel you're being fetishized, by whom, why, when did this happen? Like, you could start wherever you want.
Okay. This is like actually a really good platform to talk on something that's been very important to me since I
Mhm.
was a child. Um, so I grew up in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. I grew up about 2 hours away from Harrisburg and Lancaster, and it was a very conservative area. It was very divided in a way. So
Mm.
I was bullied a lot by kids, just made fun of because my family is a very blended family. So all my immediate family members are white, and I am considered racially ambiguous and black and also brown. People just didn't know where to put me in a box.
Right.
So as I started developing and maturing, um, a lot of my classmates and stuff were very sexually drawn to me. Like, I mean, this is back like in like the 1990s when people were doing like titty twisters and stuff like that to people. I
Right.
Yeah, seriously, like when I think about it, I'm like, oh my god. Um, like purple nurples, like that kind of stuff. But like, I never really dated, and I didn't understand that until I started getting older, but it seems like the same theme is there as I mean, I'm almost 40 years old, so like even now I still notice this theme where men are sexually drawn to me very much so, but they are very careful about the integration within their families. And that's why when people ask, well, why is fetishization bad, or why don't you want to be desired, it's
Mhm.
because it's dehumanizing. Like people don't understand. Yeah,
What is
like
it about black and brown bodies and women's bodies, do you think, that is fetishized? Is it what do you think it is?
Okay, so in high school, I went to Cedar Cliff High School. So I went in this Camp Hill. In ninth grade, I went there, and all the time I would hear these guys be like, "Okay." They called me DSL, which was dick sucking lips. They were like, "You got." I heard that
OMG.
all the time, all the time. They would be like, "Natalie's got those DSL," and like I always wore lipstick because I was always into makeup and fashion. But like I would constantly hear that, and I'm not, mind you, I'm 14, 15 years old, um, and I literally had a guy that I was going to go to homecoming with, and I bought the dress and everything. His friend, he didn't even tell me. It was his friend who reached out to me and was like, he can't go with you. His parents are racist. Um
Wow.
so oh my gosh. So like that's where it started. And then lastly, what prompted things, and I'm kind of skipping over some important details, but the last person, the last quote unquote in quotations relationship I had, I didn't realize like how deep it still is, because I had a pregnancy scare, and the person like flipped out, like literally said to me like I should abort the child, and if you know me, like I'll do what I have to do to take care of my own responsibility. You know what I mean? That's who I am.
Yeah.
But then I literally sat down at the table and I said, "Oh my God, is it because I'm black?" Like it didn't even hit me, but I'm like, that's what it is. Because his family was, I'm telling you, wasn't ready.
Did you? I'm sorry. Did you ever watch True Blood?
No,
No.
no. People tell me that I should though.
There was this storyline uh where there was a spirit who was apparently a black woman from down in Louisiana. She was Creole, and she had a thing with a white man, and this was back in probably the early 1900s. And she got pregnant, and it was a really dark story. And basically, like in the other realm, she haunted the property and his bloodline because she
Good for
was
her. I
so.
hope she haunted the shit out of it. Good for her. Yes,
That's what I'm talking
we need to
about. Yes.
haunt some of these racist. Oh my God! Like seriously.
I'm saying I'm not even trying to first of all, I'm not going to give y'all no spoiler alerts. So I'm just telling y'all, go watch that episode or two, because it was like a one or two episodes, I think, about that storyline, and it's really deep, right? So y'all should definitely go check that out on True Blood. But I don't see, okay, so there's truth to that, right? Because this is historical. So you were, go back to the story, back to your experience. You were speaking about the parents,
Right.
right?
Okay, so I figured some of that stuff out too. If you want me to just let me just
Yeah,
comment on that.
break it down, because when it comes to the apple don't fall far from the
Right.
tree, and a lot of people don't realize that they pick up on behaviors
Oh
and
yeah.
things that they thought they have progressed so far from, when in reality you ain't getting nowhere, honey.
So the person that I was dating very much considers himself an ally. He's very hands in, and he lives in Lancaster.
Oh,
And yeah,
oh,
and just considers himself part of the movement, I would say. And one of the things that caught me when we started dating, that I was like, this is some weird behavior, is that he kept recommending books to me. He would
trying to teach
recommend
you about
books,
yourself.
right, books to me, but he wouldn't listen about my own experiences. Like it was weird. It was a bizarre dynamic. So the thing that really tipped me off was we went to spend Christmas with his family down south, and his mom made a salad, and there was one piece of jalapeno pepper in the salad. We're sitting there at dinner. It's Christmas dinner. We're sitting around the table. It's me, his mom, and his mom's boyfriend, and the partner. And he says, "Wow, mom, this is a wacky salad. This is the whitest salad that I've ever seen. I kid you not." And
Oh my god.
so his mom put her head down because she felt shamed. Like it was
Yeah.
uncomfortable. So then I looked at him and I said, "What did you say?" And he kind of like laughed. And what I realized was that was like there was a bunch of microaggression going on there. So basically, he knows his mom's racist, right? So he was attacking his mom. It's a whole thing, and that's what I want to talk about, because people that consider themselves allies or beyond the racism that's instilled in our fabric of society, it's still there. Like you said, it ain't going nowhere, honey, and like you need to work harder on it. And that means you don't discuss like sensitive racial topics at the dinner table because she turned her anger onto me. Like, so it's yeah, and I caught that immediately afterwards. Like she didn't like me from that point on because her son was acting out of character. And that's let's go back to what you said about historically. So people ask me all the time, well, how could somebody be racist if they're dating you, if they're dating a black person, or I have a child from a black man. I mean, you know what I'm
Oh, I
talking about.
hate that. I hate that, and
You
I
know
go
what I'm
in on
talking
people.
about.
Yes,
Okay,
break it down, girl.
so people don't realize that sexually, and I actually learned this. I will give Oliver Say a shout out, Chef Oliver, for this
Yes,
because
yes,
he
yes.
actually
Shout out to him.
he
Yes.
taught me about this. Like he kind of mentored me on this. Like because I didn't understand it. Like even like 2 years ago, I was like, well, I don't understand like how they could be super racist if they're sleeping with someone. And he said, Natalie, the slave masters used to rape their slave. It doesn't mean that they
Yep.
see you as a
I
human
was
being.
just about to say that. Yep.
Yep. And like that behavior is still so prevalent. Like
Yes.
that's what I was saying. Like white men have no issue hooking up with me or sleeping with
Nope.
me or whatever. But as soon and this goes for gay men too, like black gay
Yep.
men, I've
Yep.
noticed it's terrible for them.
Yep.
But as soon as it
Yes.
goes into integrating them into the family unit, no. They don't like they don't want to be seen with it. And
Yep.
like what I was saying about this partner's family is that he wants to keep almost like dual identities. Like he wants to keep the I'm such an ally, I'm so progressive on the facade, on the outside. But when you get into like the family and into like their traditions, their cultures, their mores, like they don't want you in there because they know my family's racist. It's so simple, but it's hard to wrap your head around it because it's become so commonplace to do that. And then as a light skinned woman, I'm on like both sides. I've noticed
Yes.
where they
Oh, I
consider
can
me
imagine. Yes.
uh, they
Yeah.
consider me a safe black woman. Some people have said that before. Like I'm safe. Like they can basically ask me questions. Basically, the questions they're asking me are about the behaviors of black people that they don't like, and they wanna comment on them. So they think
Well,
that.
see,
Mhm.
going back to historically, when it came to and this is not just in North America but South America, it was common to create like a barrier race, so to speak,
Yes.
and hierarchies and classes to keep the darker ones down and make sure that they were doing the work or doing the dirty work or doing this and that. But then you also had people that held themselves to a higher regard as well. And I think to some extent, a lot of white culture still, in many facets, the bone structure of that mentality is still there.
Oh yeah.
When it comes to you look at the music industry, you've got your Beyonces and your Rihannas, and even to your Keisha Cole. They're all biracial.
Hmm.
We don't have any what major label artist is black,
Oh
that is
damn.
dark skinned present day, that is dark skin.
Well,
That
Lizzo.
is Lizzo is not dark skinned. She is
Um,
caramel.
yes.
Yes, she's black. Yes, she's not big and mainstream like Beyonce. She's only been around for a certain period of time. She hasn't proved her longevity. You get what I'm saying? Like
I
we've
do.
got so like there's no we don't have that. And all of these women that I just spoke of, like even Nicki Minaj, she's biracial. So like
Yeah.
it's all they're all fetishized. And then the ones that like Kelly Rowland is probably the only one I would say, like, I mean, they're trying to bring what's it Normani in, but they dogging her. So I mean, my point is Megan Thee Stallion, is probably the closest one I would say. But she's not a singer, she's a rapper. But my point is, um there's a certain value um, with certain, skin tones. And I think that does definitely play a part into
Wow,
different
you just
experiences
totally
of
like
fetishizing.
you just
Mhm.
you taught me some stuff as I'm looking at it from an entertainment standpoint, actually. Like, this is deep. Like, it's like really deep. And I don't think
Mhm.
people understand like how I wouldn't say how unhealthy it is as a society, like people talk again, like they're so progressive. They talk about the media and how, they're not brainwashed and stuff, yet they're brainwashed every day by it because of representation. Like,
That's it. Yes. Yes. Yep.
yeah.
How many people think of like a dark skinned woman automatically as ghetto, especially
Hmm.
if she's younger and she's scantily clad? But you see a skinny white woman
Hmm.
that's same exact outfit, but the perception is completely different.
Like, oh, she's cute, or that's attractive, or that's hot,
Right.
or whatever. Like,
Hmm.
yes. Oh, okay. So that's a good segue back to what you were asking me about
Hmm.
what body parts do you think are fetishized and
Hmm.
why.
Yes.
This partner's mom was hyper fixated on my breast. Oh my god.
Mm.
So okay,
OMG.
so she was a smaller framed woman, and I am not. I mean, if I am tit tips and ass, like, just there's no
Right. Right.
there's no
Okay.
denying
Okay.
it. Like, that's
Yes.
just how
Yes.
God made me, whatever. So
Right.
the interesting thing was she was sharing her art with me, and it was a nude paint, or it was a nude drawing of a woman that looked like her. And she was like, she shared it with me. She was like, look, this is a nude woman, it was artistically posed. I shared a picture of her where I was nude modeling for somebody too, and she was like, oh my god. And the reason why is, I mean, seriously,
Wow.
let me ask you this: when's the last time you saw a nude black woman in a art gallery? Like, we're,
Right.
because
Right.
that's deep from the artist standpoint, because we are considered hypersexual just in our being. And it's because, again,
Yep.
there is a history of white men, like, being sexually, like, I don't know, it's like they like, something happens, they turn into like animals when they see like a black or biracial woman, and then it's considered a shameful act, you know? Like, so yeah, I feel like if I wear a suit, if I'm dressed up, if I'm covered, I'm still considered sexy. Like, no
Mhm.
matter what I wear, and that's exhausting. I mean, like, because I can't I feel like I have to diminish myself to be in
We as people, as black people, have to, whether it's the way that we dress or the way that our behaviors are, our personality is. If you have too big of a personality and you're in a room with a lot of white people that feel very
right.
intimidated by that, you learn to, or a lot of people will, diminish that bigness, that big ego that the quote unquote they might have. And then, I've actually spoken to, oh my goodness, a younger woman who was talking about growing up and being having bigger breasts and bigger hips and a backside. She even by her own mother, because there were when men around, grown men around or whatever, made her, you have to cover up when these guys are around. And it's like, why are we not teaching the men and other people to, like, why are we not flipping this around, and like, why are y'all uncomfortable? Why should the woman that is naturally born the way that she is have to feel uncomfortable about the way that she naturally is? Why should she have to cover that up?
Right.
And teaching that and instilling that at a young age, and the fact that women are instilling this in their young daughters, says a lot about the way our society is in general towards specifically women of color or women that have a certain figure that is not the frail European like figure,
Mhm.
I would say.
So if you look at the cover graphic and look at me, I'm literally covered from head to toe,
Hmm.
but I'm also still considered vulgar. to some people, right? Because again, you could see my breast, the outline of my breast. You can
Yep.
see the curves of my hips. Like my lips are very prominent, and I'm actually starting to notice how my presence affects people's like interactions with me. Like,
But there you go. You said it right there. Your presence. It doesn't matter
right.
what you are, what you look like, how like everything about you they don't like. So it's your very presence that is offensive to them.
I wish I could hug you right now. Like you literally, no, you literally just broke it down. Like I hope everybody listens to this podcast because this is perfect. Like you are teaching me like so much stuff, and I feel like through our like vehicle, we're able to teach other people too. So I hope anybody
Yes.
who's listening to this like really takes a moment. Like if they see their friends acting foolish, like just if they
Check them.
see them, yeah, if they see
Yeah.
them like kind of posture up, if like a black woman comes around, it's just like stop it, like
Hmm.
Frank, stop it, like
Hmm. Yep.
oh my gosh, I have to laugh because it's so ridiculous. Like it's so ridiculous to be looked at as such a threat when I'm literally
Hmm.
just living my life. Like I could be sitting in McDonald's eating a 10-piece nugget meal, and anyone who knows me knows I love doing that. And like literally me doing that will make some white woman offended. Like,
Yep.
and I'm just sitting there eating my chicken nuggets. Like,
Yep.
sorry. So yeah.
But you know what? There's nothing that you could or could not do to
Right.
change. But the fact of the matter is, what we can change is through how we speak on the experiences that we have. So one way is, this very thing that we're doing right now, you being on the show and speaking about your experience. But the other is the experience that you had with this individual that I have no clue is who it is, but I'm very curious as to who this motherfucker is because you say they were in Lancaster.
Yeah.
I'm very curious as to um like I shouldn't say very curious as to, well, I should say that like how we go about as people um combating this, pushing back on this kind of behavior because it is very poisonous.
Right.
And something does have to be done about it. But how can we check motherfuckers on a situation like this when you're knee deep in the sand pits, if you will?
So
What's quicksand? Yeah.
so here's how I checked myself. Um, with the situation. This is interesting because after the whole like pregnancy scenario blow up, um, God, like I look back at it now and I'm like, what a mess. No, I seriously, I'm like, what a mess. And I again,
Right.
like, I should have known from the first like red flag and stuff, and the whole here, read about your experience, Natalie. Like, this will teach you, this will teach you what it's like to be a black woman in today's society. Yeah.
Oh,
so,
I'm done.
so anyway, what I did was I legitimately I cut contact immediately.
Right.
And it's funny because he came to me, we reconvened like twice afterwards, and he was like, I want to be your friend. I might date other people, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, whoa, dude, like there's so much going on like in this situation. Like, no, I don't want to be your friend. Like, what? Like,
Right.
um, so I blocked him. I stopped all contact. I blocked him. Like I'm not, and so like you said, it's poisonous, right? So these people are poisonous, and doing what we're doing right now is how to educate the masses. But when you're
Hmm.
in it, like you said, knee deep in the sandpit with somebody like that, you can't let their energy affect you.
Right.
Because the other thing is, I know I'm almost certain this person literally is doing the same thing with other people that he did with me. And I said to him, I asked him the way I was like, why are all your exes people of color? I straight up asked him that. I was like, what's going on? And that's where the whole fetishization thing came in. I'm like, because now it's starting to look like a pattern.
Ah,
Yeah, I'm
right.
like, it's starting to look weird. And like, I asked him that, and he didn't respond to me. Because how are you going to respond to that? I like, I like black people or whatever. Or I don't even know. So like, it's like,
No,
I'm
he's
not gonna.
a he's a serial BWF.
Well, he's both. So yeah,
Hmm.
he's gonna go for the BBC too. Like I'm not even joking.
Oh
Um,
shit!
uh-huh.
Damn.
No,
See,
uh,
I'm really wondering who is this?
I
Damn.
my friends are like, you should definitely call him out. Like,
Mm,
but I will respect his privacy at this time
right.
because I think in the future, maybe something will happen. The shape that maybe
The truth will
he
come
will
to light.
understand to reconcile. Um, again, like maybe he'll start to check his mother, when she says stuff not in front of people, but like behind the scenes. Because my experience being biracial, so it being interesting that I grew up in a house full of white people, is that I hear the things they say about black people. And I also, when I'm around my other side of the family, I hear the things they say too. So it's like I'm
Hmm.
in this weird like
Right.
bubble of racism on both sides, and my own mom like has racist tendencies sometimes, and I check her. And she, again, I don't think she understands it because she's from that boomer generation. So like,
Mm,
that whole like that's how we talked in the day. Like we used to call people
hmm.
colored. Like oh my god. So but again, like I think the way that we can kind of help people progress forward is just, do what we're doing, have these talks, have these interviews. I really
Yep.
hope that your media company blows up because you have some really good topics, and I think that people need
Oh,
to hear them. Oh yeah,
they
like
do.
yeah,
They do. By the way, if you are listening, definitely share this stream, like, subscribe, and by the way, you can also donate to us because every little dollar goes a long way to keeping us in business. We really appreciate all of the love. But you are right. More people need to hear this. More people need to hear these topics, and more people need to hear these experiences. Um, and if not only to be able to feel encouraged to share their own experiences as well.
right, yeah. Yeah, I think that's important because you're literally giving a platform for people to talk about their experiences. Because where could I have shared this before if it wasn't with you? I mean, like I would share it through my artwork. It is come. I am. Oh, I'm working on a piece that is gonna look at this entire situation. It's,
Okay.
you know what it is too. Like, and I'm gonna submit it to some big. Yeah,
Yes.
because again, like we don't really have a lot of representation as black or biracial women, especially in the art world. I mean, we're starting to
Right.
get there. Like you'll see a lot
Yeah.
more
But we got
stuff.
some ways to go.
Right, like in major galleries and stuff like, MoMA and stuff like that. Like we're starting to make some headway, but I think black women need to kind of document their experiences more and kind of get it out there into the mainstream. Like
Mhm.
people have asked me, like, do I want to stay um underground, or do I want to go out into like the mainstream world? It's like, no, put me out there. Like shit, come on. Like I want people to be inspired by what I'm sharing. I want people to be able to relate to what I'm going through, and to kind
Mhm.
of have people not feel bad for sharing what they go through. Um, or having to diminish parts of themselves. Like I know there are people that absolutely. I've met probably about 4 or 5 biracial women in the last week, um, here just in Carlisle where I live, and
Wow.
yeah, it's pretty cool. Like they've shared some of their experiences also. So I think when you are true to yourself, and you're like, no, this is who I am, this is what I've experienced, you're gonna start to inspire other people to share their own stuff too. And that's even with your media company too. Like even if people are like, oh, there goes John Tell again. Look at him, like stirring
I
stuff up.
don't give a fuck on some real shit because I am not going anywhere. If there's always a person with an experience, I'm fucking here with a mic. Like, tell it.
Yeah, and I think that's important because again, like we can diminish ourselves down. We can hang out behind the scenes, or put ourselves behind the cloth, or put our smile on, or be thankful. Be thankful for what you have. Like, but it's like,
Mm,
do you want to make things better, or do you just want them to stay where they are? Like,
that part,
hmm
right? Hmm.
that's how I see it. Like, that's our. It's almost like our duty. I feel like living on this earth, you got to make things pave the way for the people that come behind you.
So, like speaking back to this situation, how long were you in the relationship? Was it a relationship?
So I don't know what it was like, to be honest. Okay, oh, okay,
Situationship?
okay. So that's interesting. So we were friends for 3 years, 3 or 4 years, coming up on 4 years. And when I met this person, I was seeing somebody else, and after the other person and I like went our separate ways, I was not attracted to this person. Oh, I think we touched on this a little bit. So this person is also into some magic. I find out like afterwards, and I don't know. It was like it was. My friends said it was very manipulative. So
Mm,
yeah, which also goes into the magic side of things, right? So like
mhm,
literally, like when I stepped away from it, I was like, oh my gosh, because he like when I look at certain behaviors and patterns, I was like, he was trying to like straight up just like hook up, you know what I mean? But again, like I'm pretty conservative when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like I'm very sexually positive, but like I like to be I have certain criteria for that kind of stuff. And
mhm.
you know, he was making moves and I was like, I don't know what you're doing. I was like, I don't no, seriously. And then it just got deeper and deeper. And I mean, like, I loved him as a friend, and I told him that. Like,
Mhm,
and again, like, you want to tell your friends that you love them and stuff.
mhm.
But then again, it was like so back and forth. Like,
So
we would,
hold on a second. So is this so? Because I'm trying to get an idea and maybe paint a picture as well. Um, but so I'm going out on a limb here. Is this guy white or
yeah.
do do they go by guy? Or, so okay, so they're white. Okay, so
I think we covered that. You know, like with they're
well,
very,
I mean,
they're very
they
like,
could be really light skinned Middle Eastern or
no,
claim that they're Italian or something. But my thing is like with some men, it's not just a being white thing, and they're not thinking of it. It's also like a conquering male bravado kind of way as well. And in my perception, and a lot of people's perception, and they don't even really realize it because it's subliminal pushed on us in society, is that black women are the bottom of the barrel. So, oh, that's an easy
okay,
accomplishment. How dare
okay.
you don't let me conquer you, you know?
Well, so they're queer, and I think
Mm.
so. Like I said, even more so is that oh, you got cheers from Germany.
Yeah, I
uh,
don't know who that is, but okay.
okay, all right. So I don't know. People are just dropping links. That's cool.
Yes.
No, so okay. Um, I think it was more. I'm sure you're familiar with like the animus and the ego and like how the human mind works and stuff like that. I think it was that he was trying to find his identity and projected what he was going through onto the black community, which is why he surrounds himself with the black community because he feels
Mm.
othered. And then so to relate, he wants to be with people that because he's queer, and I feel like that's almost like a positioning thing. That's why my friends were like, this guy seems very manipulative.
So
Because
this person is queer? They're like, so clearly they have some bisexuality. Are they like pansexual? Like, how old are they?
I honestly can't tell you like what they
Okay.
identify as because I don't think
Okay.
that they actually know, to be honest with you. I
Oh.
think so that's my point. Like I think they're exploring their identity, and by being with people of color, like even sexually, they're learning more about themselves, but they're not aware. I don't think this person really is aware of what they're doing, which is why I don't want to, drag them entirely. But I think
Mhm.
they're trying to figure themselves out, and they're like, oh, I think my experiences are similar to yours as a black woman, as a whatever, and that's why they're positioning themselves around that, which is all again like super super damaging, like
Right,
super.
because I mean, so I think we've had a conversation before about, for one, oppression is oppression. That's a given, but it's also important to note that the black experience is a different kind of experience from the queer experience. And it's
Mm,
It's important to be very careful with your words if you're a white person that happens to be queer and trying to compare your struggles to someone that is black or
right.
and or black and queer, because you have no understanding of what that person is going through. And in the echelons of our caste system in America specifically, you, honey, are not at the bottom and cannot associate yourself in a full entirety with the person that is black and or queer. It just doesn't work. And I think that is a big issue that is disgusting and also poisonous within our communities as well. And me personally, sitting at intersections of the two, I've witnessed it, and it's especially insidious.
Yeah,
Eh,
I
for
agree.
me, I've tended to date either lighter skinned or white men over the years, and have come across conversations that were not only very enlightening for me, and providing awareness of people's understanding in the world, but also um, an enlightening moment for those people as well. It just really goes to show you that there are parts of prejudices and racism and all the isms that people don't deem as such, but they are.
As you were talking about that, like I was actually having flashbacks on how people speak. I would say to me, not with me. Also, too, that
Mm,
that goes into this whole experience, and then it translates over into even dating. Is I call it like my friend came up with a term like pander bear. So like when people pander to you, so like which is what the experience at the dinner table was at Christmas time. It was like a pandering um,
right.
to make me feel comfortable, but they don't seem to understand how to treat, again, I'm going to put this in quotation, other people as human beings. So
Mhm.
again, the experience, if he was so upset with his mom that he was like, "Oh, I want to comment about this wacky salad," he should have said something to her after dinner, outside of the presence of me. But because my
Uh-huh.
presence was there, again, it was like almost like I was like, "Is this a kink for you?" Like that you're like shaming your mom in my presence. Well, okay, so we spoke about how people in Lancaster like to date black or brown people as revenge to their racist parents, right? And that's exactly what I feel like was going on. And I feel like that has gone on a
Oh
lot
my
with me. No,
goodness.
like it's like, oh, okay, so mom, when I first was dating, you like walked in on me and you like made me feel bad. So you know what? I'm gonna get back at you. It's so bizarre, dude. Like, because this is like some deep psychology stuff that is valid. Um, and it's disgusting. Like you said, it's insidious. Like it's
Mhm.
gross. Um,
That you chose the perfect, that is a perfect way of explaining a situation, so I had to put that in there.
I like that. It's Pander Bear for those
Hmm.
like who are listening. So someone from Germany made a comment. I don't know if you're watching the comments over here.
Yeah, I was wondering if you saw that. Did you see that? Because I was going to get to that too, because that really speaks to the whole point of this whole episode. Did you see that?
Yeah, it did, and I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't give a fuck. I'll show everybody. I don't know who this person is. Obviously they're from Germany, and there is a long-standing stereotype that there's lots of racists in Germany. Go figure. Um, what I would chuck it up to is complete and utter ignorance on top of ass fuckery and bullshittery that I don't tolerate. So, whoever you are, continue to get drunk and have whatever day you're meant to have. But the point that I wanted to speak on with that comment that he said, because I'm not going to repeat it, is the fact that lots of white men, especially older white men, have this thing about, it's not even just a fetish. I think it's
Oh my
also
god.
this, um, these fantasies on
Okay,
top of fetishes.
can I touch on that too?
Yeah.
Because again, like when I put myself out there in the dating world, so I'm actually divorced, and I divorced in 2009, and
Mm,
yeah, and my ex-husband was a white man, super racist family, which is, it
mm,
stressed out the relationship a lot. Um, and again, to him, looking back on it, it was a conquest, it was a fetish for sure. He even admitted that. And I noticed that when I started putting myself out in the dating world, the guys that were drawn to me like flies were 28, 29-year olds, and then older white men, like in their like 50s, 60s, that kind of thing.
mm.
And a friend of mine who actually was the first person I ever dated, like we're still close, and he just breaks it down for me. He said it's because they're looking for, it's an experience to them. They want experience, and they're attracted to you in
Yep.
that way.
And I
And
deeply can relate.
yeah, and like I know it's like that in the gay community too, where these people are like, it's like they
I
want
get
to just,
older white men, tons of older white men that say very, very vulgar and horrible things, like just objectifying me in a way, and they don't even give a fuck. And you'll check them on it, and either they continue to be exactly the way that they were, as if they didn't even understand what you said or they don't care, or they'll get really nasty to you, or they'll just block you and go on to the next person of color that they see. Um, or I'll get young boys that are the
mm.
exact same way, but if not even worse.
Oh yeah, okay. So I'm glad you said that, because no,
Yeah.
young people, especially again like the young progressive people,
Hmm.
I'm gonna say this, like I'll say it, I don't care.
Yeah.
Young white liberal men are the worst when it comes.
Talk about it.
They're the worst, because they, again, it's this whole like bravado of I'm gonna
Mhm,
conquer the world, I'm gonna
mhm,
change the world, yet you're doing the same shit that like your family did, except you're just trying to be more like almost outspoken about it, so you think that it's like, I don't even know, it's a whole thing. um and I hope that somehow it changes, because it's disgusting.
You know how it changes? Us checking motherfuckers and us having conversations such as this, and urging, if you are an ally that you claim to be, that you don't just read books, you apply what those books say, but you also just listen to people of color and their fucking experiences and take it for
Right.
what it is, and
Thank
don't
you. That's,
challenge them on their experiences, because that is the one thing that is the biggest problem. We'll tell you how we feel, we'll tell you what we're going through, and you'll still challenge us
yep,
or
or the,
debate what we're saying. My
oh,
existence is not debatable. My experience is not debatable.
okay,
End of
so
story.
let me cash in on
Mm-hmm.
this,
Mm-hmm.
also too, because I have a friend who, I have a few friends that are like this. They're very supportive of me in certain areas of my life. They're very supportive. Like, they'll buy my art, they'll come to my shows. They're good friends, you know what I mean? But when I talk about my emotional experiences, or when I talk about how I'm feeling that day, they will sit there and they will be like, "Well, or have you thought?" And it's like, I stopped my one friend 2 days ago, and I said, "I need you to stop that. And I want you to just think about, why do you do that to me? Like, because
Mm-hmm.
do you do that to everybody else? Do you tell them like, well, maybe, or if a guy walks by and calls me a nigger, and you're gonna be like, well, maybe he, it's like, no, that was my experience, and this is how it made me feel. Like, I don't need you to tell me like, or have
Mm-hmm.
play devil's advocate. I don't need devil's advocate for my experiences. And again, that's because it's historically embedded in our society that we are beneath, the white experience. So we're living a completely different world than them, and they don't want to. They don't want to emotionally invest in that experience, because it'll challenge. To be honest with you, it makes them uncomfortable. And
Yeah.
white society does not like to be uncomfortable. Like, and you should see my
It,
face at that
because
point because
if they step outside of that bubble, it shatters their whole reality. So the way to continue to feel comfortable is, like, to challenge your experience and push against it. But in return, that continues to make us very skeptical of anyone white, whether they claim to be an ally or not, because there's so many people who really are racist as fuck and very insidious, and will say things in that very nature, knowing damn well they're doing is ruffling our feathers and making us emotional and upset, or angry and arguing, when it's just fun and sport for them. And then you've got people who genuinely think that they really mean well, but they're being just as damaging. Does that make
right.
sense?
Absolutely. And then the other thing is that you have to be careful is that if you say anything to them, that you're not being combative or draining or yeah, because when you start sticking up for yourself, like of course you're being draining because they're not getting what they want from you, which is
Hmm.
they want to feel joy, they want to feel happy, they want to use you as a scapegoat, like it's
Talk
scapegoating.
about it.
Or their sexual, like they want to be able to sexually idolize you without you being difficult. So yeah, dude, God, like going
Can I
back,
go
going,
out on a limb and just say something really quick?
okay.
There are a lot of people that are lightly melanated, right? That, whether they realize it or not, for people of color, can be um, energy succubi.
Oh, I agree, and I laugh because I literally even I brought that up. I brought that up to the
Mm,
past partner, because um how can I say this? Sometimes putting a front on is more exhausting than just being real. Like
mhm,
I would
mhm,
rather somebody say to me like you're pissing me off today, or I need a break from you because you're going
mhm.
through stuff and like you're draining me. Like I would rather somebody say that to me. Just be honest, okay? But like when
Yes.
people put on this, "Hi, Jontel, how are you doing today? Isn't everything fabulous?" Like I find that so exhausting because it's like
Yes.
you will um you're not really being authentic, and somebody reminded me that that is actually a an upper class white behavior, again, because don't let them see you sweat, right? Like so they have to always put on that I look good, I feel good, I eat only oat milk and lettuce for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like I'm so healthy, but really underneath it, they're like their life is in shambles and they're
Mhm.
crumbling, but they can't.
And that's a standard in white America, white middle class America. It is the standard, and this is something that's the big elephant in the room that we do not talk about. Instead, they want to continue to shuffle all of that and big emotional baggage onto the people that they think are built and meant to
Right.
handle the brunt of that, i.e., people of
Ooh.
color. Right? Because
Yes.
anytime we try to give them any little piece of emotion that we're going through, they shut down, they shut off, they cut us off, they don't want to hear it, they cannot handle it, they're too fragile, yada yada, whatever excuse under the sun, right?
Yep.
They can only deal with factual and practical. And
Yeah.
I'm generalizing here, so if you take offense to it, take it how you want. But obviously, that speaks volumes to the kind of person, the ideology that you might have if you take offense. And I digress there.
No, I agree. Like I agree fully with that because so much. Okay, so I was thinking about this before we got on live. Is the reason why black women are not liberated sexually or the way that we appear in media and stuff like that is because what's at the backbone of our society? Family, right? So people don't want to make us look attractive. Instead, they want to demonize us and just make us, what's the word? Um, Jezebels and just these highly sexual, demonic beings. But in reality, too, we black women in general are the ones that have taken care of white society since the beginning of time. We've raised your
Talk about
kids.
it.
We No, seriously, like when oh I was gonna
Yep.
say something. I will say something.
Go
Let me
ahead.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
I was
Break it
gonna say
down. Yep.
when your husband is done beating, on his wife, he came and raped the slaves, because
Sure
that was
did.
how he released, and again, like he felt his emotion, from George Washington to all of them. Like it's a
Yep.
thing. Um,
And you know what? It's still present today. You see the soldiers that are in Afghanistan or they were in Iraq and they were doing the things that they did. Guess who they took their aggressions out on?
mhm.
Children. I'm not saying just daughters and girls, children and
Yeah.
mothers. They took their aggression out on when soldiers were in Vietnam, and other parts of Asia. They did the same thing. It's ingrained in the culture generation by generation.
So speaking of the ingrained in the generation and just the sexual aspect of things too, before we close on this, I want to comment on the rose that you chose for the background, because
Yes.
I think it's such a powerful symbol, and it also ties in with my spirituality. So I had mentioned this person. He never really fully divulged what he was into magically, or what his spirituality fully was. I knew he did spells, and he quote unquote told me the spells that he does are between him and his therapist, which I can
Hmm.
assure you that I'm pretty sure he did some kind of enchantment on me too. Um,
Hmm.
craziness. But my spirituality lately has gravitated and pushed me towards something called Rosicrucianism, and it's
Hmm.
incredibly important to me. And it's from the Hermetic Egyptian, basically the beginning of time. There was this movement. They get their documentation from Egypt, but it was started by a guy named Christian Rosenkreutz in Germany, um, which at first I was skeptical of joining this fraternity of people, because I was like, one thing that I am not a fan of is when white people capitalize on certain culture. So like belly dancing,
Hmm.
when I mean, without giving due uh, clarification and just like accolades to the culture where it comes from. So I did a little bit more digging and digging and digging, and I realized that a lot of the Rosicrucians are from Africa. Um,
Oh.
and yeah, and what they consider themselves are mystics. And I've always had a very deep relationship with the supernatural, with the spirit
Hmm.
realm, that kind of stuff. And I do believe in highly mystical experiences. I believe everybody's connected. And I believe that we are all here to learn and grow from each other. So the rose to the
True.
Rosicrucians is a symbol of evolving consciousness. So
Hmm.
I think this um, interview this evening, actually, I hope it helps evolve the consciousness of whoever listens into it, because yeah, since we are all connected, like you said, you got to check a motherfucker. You have to do what you have to do to
Yes.
get people to grow and grow towards, I would say, peace, or the higher good, right? And
Hmm.
sometimes you have to strong arm people to get them to kind of lose their edges, I guess you could say, their thorns. Um,
Yes.
but
Yes.
really, if you want to evolve the world, like I was saying earlier, if you're truly a visionary, or if you're a progressive, you have to be able to shed even the parts of yourself that are holding you back. And uh, yeah.
Ah. Ah. That's such poetic words from such a gem. Yo, that you're amazing, and I'm
I'm
so
so
mad that
tired
like
today, and I was like, I hope this goes well, because I just want to. Like you said, I want to lay down and go to sleep at like
right,
five
right.
o'clock in the afternoon. But I was like, I got shit to do. Like,
No, I've been looking forward to this, and I'm so glad that like we had such an amazing conversation, and I want to talk more, and I hate to like go because we try to keep it short, but we have to have another conversation, maybe expand on this or jump on some other side things, but
I agree.
um yeah, like there's a lot of things that can be touched and be expanded on from this. I guess you could say we could pull out the hat. It's just speaking on fetishes in general, and how pervasive they are within our communities in general. Like you're speaking from a woman's perspective, I'm speaking from a man's perspective, and we have very similar trajectories here, but then you can also jump into the history about it. So there's definitely more we can touch on, but um Natalie,
I want to say one thing before you close out.
yeah. I
Um,
also want you to give a bit of where people can find you and a little bit of who you are real quick. You got like a minute.
okay. I just want
All
to
right.
say that one of the reasons why I don't want to throw this person completely under the bus and run him over, even though I can't stand them, and what I went through is that he's acting from what he experienced. And again, if his family is super racist, then he thinks he's doing the best that he can when actually he's being super, super damaging. So I hope that if he's listening to this or anybody who's listening to this who thinks they know who this person is, that you sit down and just like literally or have a conversation of like, well, how can I be better and not have this happen again? Because it's starting to become a pattern with the people that they're surrounding themselves around, and it's getting kind of weird. Me personally, my name is Natalie Doman. I am a arts enrichment center owner. I am opening Design Art House. I'll put it in the chat actually,
Yeah.
and it's at 15 North Hanover Street in Carlisle. Our grand opening is Saturday, April 9th at 11 o'clock. I am a multimedia artist, and I'm also a performance artist and dancer. You can find me at indesignarthouse.com or nataliedoman.com or on Facebook, Natalie Doman, or Design Art House. And my art is starting to really heavily focus on my experience with trauma in, growing up biracial in a white house, but also just my experiences in American society in general. So I'm trying to find how do I put a comment in?
On the side it says comments, but you can also, once the stream is over, you can comment as well. I
Okay.
think it's easier that way because I have trouble doing it through the. Yeah, it's weird, but definitely got you. Oh,
Yeah,
uh,
that's my Aunt
there's a
Farida.
comment.
That's my
Oh,
Aunt.
thank you so much.
Yeah, oh my gosh, like all my aunties like are gonna make me cry because like they again like this when people ask, well, how did you get through some of the stuff that you went through? It's by knowing people like Miss Farida that are strong Black women and having them as
Talk
role
about
models in my life. And again, that's because we are connected to everyone. We need to really remember that, and not treat people like they are objects. Like
it.
treat
And
them
you know
like
what? I want to leave things on that note because you spoke about something very significant is community and also
Mhm.
having mentors. Keeping our roots firm and instilling those connections is something we need to continue to do. And there's another thing you spoke on really quick is connecting and elevating our collective consciousness. We need to continue
Right.
to do that, and this is what the Leon Block is here for. So you speaking to that shows that I'm doing my purpose. I'm doing what I'm meant to do. So I really appreciate
I am
you for
so
that.
happy that we connected. I will definitely be back, and you are quite an amazing light in the
Oh.
universe.
Yo,
Yeah.
appreciate you so much. Yo, thank y'all for tuning in. You can catch us on any of the social media links that are listed at the link below going across the screen. And also make sure y'all meditate on your path, celebrate
Yep.
your being, liberate your spirit, and educate yourself. I'm John Tell. Have a great evening.